everybody, my name is Allison. I'm the Programs, Outreach, and Youth Services Manager here at the Monterey County Free Libraries. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Book Chat. Tonight I'm going to chat with you about Don't Worry, 48 Lessons on Relieving Anxiety from a Zen Buddhist Monk. And this is by Shunmyo Masuno. And I picked this up because I'm always interested in reading tips on relieving anxiety, and I thought this was really interesting and good reminders. I described it to one of my friends as nothing completely revolutionary, but nice reminders of ways that you could be making your life a little bit easier for you. And it's not one of those books that you necessarily sit down and read straight through. Maybe you read a couple of chapters. Each chapter is a different tip, usually 3 to 4 pages, and then put it down for a little bit, come back to it again, or skim for the section that is relevant to you. It's divided up into different parts. So part 1 is reduce, let go, leave behind, the Zen way of keeping anxiety and worry at bay. Then part 2 is concentrate only on things you can achieve here and now. Part 3 is step away from competition and things will fall into place. Part 4 is surprising tips for improving relationships. And part 5 is change how you worry about things and your life will change for the better. And that's on money, aging, death, and more. So kind of broader topics. So because it's divided into different sections, you could flip to a section that is relevant to you. One of the first things that I flipped to was talking about death and old age, because those are things that I have a lot of anxiety around. But some of the basics, like I said, are covered in here. I know that sometimes people tend to shy away from books that are written by religious figures because they don't identify with that religion or with any religion at all. And I will say that this does not have really a ton to do with any level of religion. He does talk about different monks in the work and talks about Zen and how to incorporate that into your life. But I think that you could read this from any religious background without having that aspect of it really come into play or get in the way of taking something away from this book. One of the sections that I was interested in as I'm doing some house cleaning is chapter 4, Pare Down Your Belongings, and it will lighten both your body and mind. So I'm going to read you a little section from this chapter. Once we acquire things, it can be difficult to part with them. All of us can relate to this sentiment to a greater or lesser extent. In fact, it may even become a source of distress. I often hear people say, my home is too cramped, I don't know when I got so many things. Just after you move in, your home is neat and tidy, and it seems like there's plenty of room to live comfortably. But before you know it, the place is filled with things, and it's anything but a relaxing space. This has a depressive effect. I'm not talking about hoarders who live in garbage mansions, but I think everyone has more than a little experience with this. The cause is strikingly obvious. It's due to an inability to part with things, an unwillingness to throw things away. In Zen, we have a word for almsgiving, kisha. It means gladly giving something up without regret. This is how we describe it when you toss coins when visiting a temple or shrine. Why would anyone be glad to give up something as important as money? The reason is that by getting rid of things, we give up some of our own attachments. Since attachments are likely to cloud our mind, letting go of attachments has the power to make us feel happy. This also applies to things. Take a quick look at the things that surround you. Is there clothing stuffed in the closet or dresser that you haven't worn in years? Do you have bags that you used once or twice, or various tchotchkes taking up precious space? I'll use this someday. This is always the excuse used to justify keeping something around. But if you haven't even thought about it in the last 3 years, do you really believe that the impetus to use it will come around soon? Will you ever again use a bag that hasn't seen the light of day in 5 years? The answer is most likely no. If this sounds familiar, you must let go of your feelings and dare to get rid of things. I recognize this may conflict with the mentality of not letting things go to waste. It's true, it can seem wasteful to cast things aside, but it's a question of how you go about getting rid of them. If a friend or someone you know might be able to wear it or use it, you can give it to them or donate it to a charitable organization. Another place to dispose of it is a flea market. Any of these options aligns with the mentality of not letting things go to waste while still holding true to the Kisha spirit of almsgiving. Disposing of things that you ought to get rid of will create more space, which will increase the comfort of your home and improve your daily life. Needless to say, this will have a positive effect on both your physical and your mental well-being. Some items ought to be kept, things that cannot be thrown away regardless of whether you use them. These include keepsakes and mementos inherited from parents and grandparents, and items you bought specifically for the family or to commemorate something special. The challenge lies in determining what falls into which category. To my mind, the most important factor is how you feel about each thing. When you hold it in your hand, does it stir up memories and warm your heart? Does it remind you of the person who gave it to you and make you happy? Does it make you feel relieved or invigorated? This has nothing to do with monetary value. There are some things worth keeping no matter how old and tattered even if they're broken. These items are much more than simply things. They are intimately connected with your life. Find a beautiful box where you can tuck these tokens away and save them. In Zen, we speak of walking hand in hand. This means going through life with those in whom we truly believe and trust, including our essential selves. The things that enable us to safeguard our memories are in no small part responsible for this feeling as well. So that was the whole chapter. So like I said, they're usually 3 to 5 pages long, and you can see in that how he weaves in Zen without kind of bashing you over the head with it or making it a really, really big deal. You can see how he weaves in Zen without making it the primary focus, just kind of saying here's a different perspective for how to look at this issue. And I picked that chapter because I think that everybody can relate to having a hard time getting rid of sentimental things, and I like that he distinguished between different types of sentimentality and different ways to get rid of stuff. So that's just a small example of what you could expect from this book. I would recommend it. Again, it's Don't Worry, 48 Lessons on Relieving Anxiety, and we have it available in our collection. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.